Welcome to yet another
scintillating
edition
of but
that's
not important
right now.
But
And
that's
now
not important right now.
And now for our brief musical interlude. Louis Gale was black and red.
We gotta go. Okay. All right. So, welcome to the show. We apologize for that terrible episode last week. This week, which is probably on a Wednesday or the Monday that you heard it. It was a live show that we tried at Starbucks. We
tried something.
We got some very good constructive feedback.
Good.
From various people. One of them who's coming on the show in a little bit is Quincy.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to try to do something else. Jared and I and Quincy are probably going to put our heads together and work out a proper live show.
Yes, do a proper...
Not necessarily in a space, because doing it in a Starbucks is very noisy. But if we can do it in a space where it's quite quiet. I was actually thinking we could do it in the Rituals in Maraval, because that's fairly quiet.
Right.
That's fairly quiet. There's not a lot of noise there. So we could always think about that, and then bring a third person, and the three of us kind of just talk.
But you see, I think, okay, yes.
Yeah, go on. What was you going to say?
No, I was just saying that when you consider the overall layout of the place itself, I mean, it wasn't exactly conducive in terms of having a good, acoustics and everything like that, having a good reception, because it was always going to be us competing with other sounds like background chatter and the sounds of the coffee machine whirring and what have you. So that was always going to be a Sisyphean challenge, if you will. So
a Sisyphean challenge is a right word to use it. Sorry, I'm having dinner as usual.
You're having
no, because I was supposed to eat, and then I got this news which we will talk about. I'm going to bring Quincy on and we'll talk about it. But just to come back, if you are now joining us and you have no idea what's going on, my name is Lord Fauntleroy, and this is my squire.
I am the Earl of Carbuncle.
Your mother smells of elderberries.
I am the Earl of Carbuncle, and I am a chronic foot fetishist. Now.
All right. So we're crazy people. We're kind of
crazy
nuts.
People. Yes, we are.
And our production values are shut to hell shit. We're working on it.
Utter crap.
But if you want, we've been called unappealing. That's not important right now.
That's not important.
We just have a blast doing this, and we love doing this, and we've been doing it for almost a year. And to hell with everybody else. And we got a lot of friends coming in, and what we've done is we created a little community of people, and we tried to teach the young uns, us the old heads, teach the young uns about various things. And one of the things we want to talk about today is not just this news I'm going to break, but and various other things that we need to talk about. One of the things is contracts, because a lot of people tend to enter contracts or ask to do work and then end up being stuck because they don't get paid for the work. The guy disappears, whatever. So Quincy's coming on to kind of talk more about that, but we were supposed to talk specifically about his case, but something has happened with his case, his legal case. He has a legal case going on, and he can't go into detail, but he will try to give you the cliff notes so that if you're listening and if you want to share it with your friends who also work in the business, who are freelancing or working in an agency or whatever, and you're kind of like, this has happened to me before. How can I get my rights back? Or what are my rights in a case like this? Also, what can I do? Do I just go off and walk around? Now, Jared, you have had experiences of working with people and and having to go to police various people, and so you're gonna jump into on this conversation because you've had experiences.
I've had experiences. I've had experiences where I have done some voiceover work for a certain individual, and for some reason, it just did not materialize, and I made it into an issue. I had to. I didn't want to go down that particular route because that's just not in my nature. My original intent was to just let it be, but there was just something in me that just said, no, you did a job and you're supposed to get paid for it, and don't let them walk over you, because the next time this happens, it's gonna happen again, and you're not gonna do anything about it. So do something about it, nip it in the bud, which is what I did. Would I have done it differently? Only if I knew for a fact that I was gonna get the desired result quicker. But I was forced to take legal action. It came that close to taking legal action. But
well, I know you went to the authorities.
I did go to the authorities about it.
Yeah.
I don't think it would have.
I never associated you with that kind of behavior either. Because when I heard the story, I was like, wow. Now this is third hand, and obviously it's your business, and I don't get into your personal business and stuff. But when I heard it, I was just listened, and I said, okay, I didn't have an opinion. I didn't make an opinion.
It's happened. It's happened before. Huh? It's happened before. The thing about it is that this is like about, oh my God, this is like about 10, 12 years ago. I was asked to audition for a role in a particular TV series here in this part of the world, and it was supposed to be a sitcom, and they told us, well, you got the part, which is great, yay, fantastic, only to be told that they were still looking for sponsors, and then when the sponsors bought into the show, then we'd get paid. And I said, wait a minute, you mean to tell me that I am giving my time, my talent, and my energy to this, and I am not going to be adequately compensated because you're supposed to be waiting on sponsors for the show? And I just thought that was just a lot of unmitigated bullshit. And I just said, no, forget it, because nothing had been signed, Nothing had been set in stone. And I just thought that it was a really underhanded way of trying to get talent to do your bidding. It's interesting too, because the person behind it was a well-known media personality. She's no longer in the thick of things, as it were. She used to be an anchor for one of the major TV stations here in TNT, but that's not important right now.
That's not important right now. But that's interesting, Jared. Let me bring in Quincy now, and we could start the ball rolling. One of the things I just want to say is that, thank God, I have not been in a situation. I mean, I have gone to court, divorce, right? So that's my only ever, experience with doing anything lawyer and court related, and it is. And that was scary enough for me to know that I don't really want. I would largely like to avoid court. The old saying Chinese have is, "You don't have court clothes."
Yeah, of course,
I don't have court clothes.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I do is I try to stop anything like that from happening, or cut my losses. Say, okay, well, I'm not going to take you to court for $500. If you don't want to pay me $500, all right, fine, go off. Go and bother somebody else, and I block you or whatever. But if it is a big project, which thank God I've been working with people who are up and up, and also they kind of know me that I would put them on blast I'd actually put them on this podcast. I would blast them,
Mm-hmm.
and they know that. They know that there are people who listen to me, and so those kind of things are, the reasons
it's
why.
Not pleasant. It is not pleasant. Let me hasten to add, it's not a pleasant thing, but sometimes some problems do call for drastic action.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I mean, we're talking about the legal not ramifications, the legal aspects of working in advertising or working in the creative business. Hello, Quincy.
Quincy, are you there?
Yeah, not here now.
Quincy!
Welcome back. Thanks for coming on.
Quincy.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Quincy was talking to me last week about a little issue he was having with how to describe it, Quincy. Is it a failure of contract, or is it an inability to honor a contract? What would you describe it as?
I mean, both of those pretty accurate, for want of a better word. It was a situation, or it is a situation because it's going on, in which we had an arrangement with a person on behalf of a company to supply creative, as is my job. And when I say we, it was a creative team, so it's more than one individual. And essentially, to be diplomatic about stating it, there was a breakdown in terms of the arrangement, in terms of how you were supposed to get paid. I mean, it's always about how you're getting paid, right? It's never about the creative and all that. But the creatives end up coming up into question when people don't want to pay now. So it's about that, and it just spiral. Well, Ian has started into a whole conversation about, making contracts and how you create arrangements between people that is applying, especially for people that work in freelance and working in smaller companies now. So is that.
So at what stage is it right now? I mean, you can't go into detail, but is it that you're in court with this thing?
Yeah. Well, not yet. The pre-action protocol letters. Well, there's the second one actually. You send one before, and as a procedure to make it extremely accurate, another one was sent. It was last week or sometime so. So we're waiting for a response. The first one we sent, of course, you have like 14 days to respond, and the person actually took it to Facebook. Put it on Facebook and thing, which I find was weird. That's something I would want to tell nobody about. But person took it to Facebook, which I was pretty glad about because I could have talked about it freely.
In
a sense, more or less, because people was like, "Where's that one?" Because the letter has everything that happened, well documented letter. And I was glad that people got a chance to see it because there's a huge problem that the creative industry faces when it comes to being paid. So I was kind of glad that the person put it out there. I was able to repost it from them and talk about it. And there was a nice spirited conversation that went on around it. And the person actually said that they would respond. You never got a response. And that was like 2020, by the way.
Wow.
Yeah, so nothing.
So you were contracted to do the job in when? 2019?
In 2018? Well, we had the conversation in 2019. We started working in 2020.
Wow.
January, February.
The level of work was, explain to me the level of work. You did like 6 months work, 12 months work.
It ended up happening it went on for about 4 months thereabout. Kind of hazy right now because it happened so long, but they're about 3 or 4 months now we were working for. The first month, of course, we started like mid-January or something like that. So we kind of do a thing where we didn't charge for the whole month kind of scene, so it was a part payment kind of thing. And from the second month, we got like another part payment. So we never really got the full sum that we quoted for. You know, and after that it was like and keep getting like less and less, and then it was harder to get stuff. I mean, a number of things were broken too, because the project was something that was running for some months. The take us from the beginning of the year down to like about August, that kind of thing. So what we sent in as our job descriptions and compensation package, and the scope of work and all that was really based on the period and a monthly payment, so it almost like a retainer kind of thing.
Right.
And it was based on working a certain amount of time that we estimated. They just create an estimate. So, you know, some days / weeks, you'll work more hours than others because like coming closer to the end, they'll have to put in a little more work kind of scene. And it was the scope of work was big. It was big enough that personally I couldn't, the function that I was performing, which was a creative lead / director kind of role, I would not be able to take on anything much inside of there. So that would be like essentially my only income, or I should say my main income, you know, other than probably doing some other small jobs at the side, one-off things. I would not be able to like, you know, start a new piece of content. You know, I'd had to just keep running with the content that I was doing because I wouldn't have time to develop something new and go and shop it and all that. So it was basically something where it was almost all eggs in one basket kind of scene, and the prices kind of reflected that, you know. And
you're being exclusive to them in a way. You're being exclusive to them. Yeah.
Mostly exclusive.
You see, this is my Jar. Do you want to say anything? Is there anything?
No, I mean, I'm just listening as intently as possible, because I think Quincy's just he is establishing a framework of how it all transpired, how it all began, and things like that. But only to say this, that for far too long, you know, there are those in the creative industry who love to take advantage of other people, especially those who happen to be supremely talented and are not aware of how the business operates. And it is not just people who work in advertising. We're talking about the other aspects that are closely aligned with the advertising industry. For example, as both of you know, I am a voiceover actor as well. I wasn't just a copywriter, I was also a voiceover actor. The thing about it is, there was a time when, and this is a long time ago, this is like when I was going to primary school. If you were an announcer in Trinidad and you're a voiceover actor, and you did an ad, and it was aired in Trinidad, you get paid for it. But if the ad went up the islands, you did not get a cent. You did not get a single penny. It had to take like 2 to 3 or 4 announcers. They wanted they took them to court. They took the agencies to court, and I can name 2 of the announcers who have since passed on to the great beyond. Barbara Assoon and Don Proudfoot. Now you probably never heard of those names, but those two in particular, they said, "Hey, what gives? You know, we are doing something here. The ads are going up the islands. Get paid. We had to get paid for it." And the agencies finally caved in. They got religion and they said, "All right, fine. You're getting paid for that too." So thanks to this is what the point I'm making is, you had to pressure them. You have to pressure them, and you have to sometimes you have to turn beast to get what you want.
But it's when Carl Beaver Henderson was on our show inside season 1. He went into detail with that, and he made it his business, because it's part of the Copyright Act, that you don't do things, especially when it comes to making music. You can't just go and play some music wherever you feel like. You can't just take somebody's voice and run it up the islands or whatever. You know, you need compensation for this. And those things, people have to fight for those things. And I think we're still fighting for a copywriter You're still fighting for a copywriter. You're still fighting for a graphic artist. You're still fighting for one of these people, like Quincy and myself, and even you, Jared, to get what's your due. And the reason why I want to talk about this today is because I've heard a lot of stories in the last couple of days or a week where people have been not paying people. And not just not paying people, ghosting them, like disappearing.
I mean, really, that's just wrong.
And what was the other thing? No, asking that you do the work. So there was a post in the graphic design guild group where the guy said he wanted to know what to do. And Michael, my friend Michael Richards, animator from Fast Tracks. Shout out to Michael. Michael's awesome. Michael said, don't ever do work without demanding money down. And if they're not willing to give your money down, then walk away or put something in place. And in the case of, a contract or something, put something in place where you could go back and say, hey, end of the month here, you have to pay me. There's a salary you're giving me here.
Yeah, because they will find a way. They will find a way to screw you over.
Because this has happened way back. And I think this is around the time when I met Quincy when I was at McCann. Way back. That's donkey years now. Boy, we old. Donkey years now.
Old like the road.
So I don't know how this happened. I can't remember. But I remember being contacted by a guy in St. Lucia. Now, I'm not sure. This is before Facebook, huh? And I wasn't even on MySpace or anything. I don't know how this man got in contact with me. But he called, I think he called the agency. I don't know how I got in contact with this guy. Right? I can't remember his name now. He had such a distinctive name. It's so bad. But anyway.
I want to suggest the name, but I'm not going to say it. I'm just going to ask if it have anything to do with Sesame Street.
No.
No?
No.
Sure.
At least no, not for me, no. At least not the name. The name doesn't ring a bell for having to do with it.
Because I had experiences with somebody from that same aisle.
And the man sent me a connection request on LinkedIn, about 3 or 4 years ago. Anyway, I'll tell you what happened then. So I was all happy to get a guy from St. Lucia asking me to do a logo for him. So I say, yeah, but this sounded good. It was for the power station. They were rebranding the power station in St. Lucia. So St. Luke Power or something like that. So I came up with a bunch of ideas and I sent it to him. Because in my mind, this is how you do work because, I work in an agency. Me in my mind didn't think about, making estimate, sending him a contract. I just so happy to get work from some man in St. Lucia, right? He sent me back an email at 1 o'clock in the morning. I wake up in the morning and I see this email, 1 o'clock in the morning. And he spent he just went, this is bullshit. I never asked for this shit. You are such an asshole. And he was just going on this man went from being real nice and cool to being this kind of asshole. I'm like, but where is who? I had to go and check the header again to make sure it's the same guy. Because but this is not the same fellow who contacted me and we had this email exchange and where I mean, he sent a brief, he told me what exactly he wanted. I was like, okay. So I okay. So he's like, so you have to now come up with some more ideas for me immediately. And I was like, not with that fucking attitude, because I was smart enough to just cut off. I cut him off. I block his email. I never got an email. I don't know because I blocked his email. He never tried to contact me any other way, except when he sent me a LinkedIn request 3 or 4 years ago. And I message him back and I say, hey, is saying something, or something like that.
That is the person, Jed.
And he sent me a LinkedIn request. I say, so you're paying me for that Power Gen logo you sent me? No response. And that was the end of that. I think it was Ernie. Was it Ernie?
Yes, something to do with Sesame Street.
That's it. It's Ernie. That's what it says.
St. Catherine. Ernie St. Catherine is his name.
Ernie St. Catherine.
Yes, sir.
Boy.
He's notorious.
Lord, I love it.
I could have been like some of them young fellas you see now.
Oh, jeez, ages.
Who would then panic and do more designs and send to please him. But that would have ended up being an internal cycle of me just giving him work and him never paying. Because he would have never paid me. He would have never paid me, and he never did. And I just, that was the end of that. I don't know why he sent me a LinkedIn request. But when I see that LinkedIn request come in, I like, nah, I don't respond. I'm now in a position to respond. I say, so you owe me money for that logo, huh?
I had a early experience. It was similar, but I get my money though. I make sure. Yeah. In them days, I mean, apart from I had the cash and I had the time to do things, I let them know, look, if it mean, I'm gonna jump on a plane and come and get my money from here, whether it be via, I mean, probably shouldn't say this as it being recorded, but if I had to come and get my money from here, I will come and get my money from here and send the money eventually, and it was work that was completed. He was happy with it, everything, all systems go. And I just signed up waiting for my paper and nothing, But what I want to say is the conversation bigger than advertising, as Jared was alluding to. It is and it's not a Trinidad thing too. This is a global thing where people don't really respect the arts. There's a conversation we have a lot of times. People don't respect the arts. I mean, apart from, everybody experience it or come across a scenario where you realize everybody think there's a writer, everybody think there's a designer, everybody believe there's an artist or they know music, at some point, even though they will admit to not knowing. In work context, suddenly there's kind of everybody have an input on what font to use and what colors is work and all this kind of scene without doing anything about, color psychology or nothing like that. So on that level, is nothing to them, like genuinely nothing to a lot of people that somebody will spend time doing a design, and the science behind design and layout and, typography and all that. People don't appreciate that work and figure you could send 3 or 4 options from a gesso. That is pull that out there. Go and play on a little machine and send a couple options, Likewise, write this thing for me and they send me some points, which I quite fine with, but understand when they send a couple points, even though it's in a brief format, I still had to take that and look at a blank screen and make it into something that somebody could sing or somebody could, say or act out or read. And that's a big deal, That at the helm of this whole thing. So if people don't value creatives and creative work, the creative process and what it means as a thing, and as a business more so, that this is somebody's job, then you'll find that kind of disdain to wanting to pay. And then added to that now is the conversation where a lot of lawyers got involved over the years speaking about, creatives need to be more diligent with creating contracts and such, which I don't say no to, but and it's a but that I don't like to use, but I don't know how to join the sentences any other way. But the process, the especially how somebody will engage you and what they'll go through. Number one, I think kind of self-explanatory in terms of being a contract, right? How I do work most times, somebody will come and say they have XYZ to do. I'll say, all right, cool. You send me a brief or something like that, or you might brief me verbally, which I hate, but that could happen. I take my notes. Yeah. But then when I come back to you, before I actually start to execute, I most times will come back with a solution, but it will be a solution and idea form that might be in the form of a presentation with a quotation attached. And I believe that once you sign off on that, there is a contract within itself. It might not be detailed to say, you have a payment structure or you're agreeing to pay at this time and all that, but we have an agreement to do work. That is, you have the cost and everything, and they sign off on that. And added to that, plenty times, more times than not, somebody coming to you with, a job that's for yesterday, we need this now, and it's time sensitive because it had to go into a booking that already made, or it's for a launch or it's for an event, and it have a deadline associated, so you can't not begin working immediately. And on top of all that, you still have to remember that this thing competitive, so you don't want any barriers in between approval and you starting to do work, and getting paid. So plenty times somebody will come to you, they'll of course give you the reassurance that everything's safe and everything up and above, all this. You'll make a verbal agreement and you start doing your things. Even if you want to send them documentation afterwards, you will start. That's just how the things go. And I believe business is about relationships.
Well, business is about trust too, huh?
And
you have to have trust. And this is the issue. Yeah. And this is the issue that working with a lot of locals in Trinidad is that there is a bad reputation that is around, that floats around, where you hear all these horror stories, so you're very cagey. But you have to have some trust. So like I did a job for a fairly large organization, and they flat out told me, I cannot pay you up front. And I said, all right, I know the organization. You all are fairly large. You all have a system in place. If I send my invoice, I will get paid, and I know that it will take time and whatever. And I did get paid, it's just a matter of you needed to follow up and all that. But you see, sometimes you say that same thing and a man come and tell you he needed like tomorrow, and you have to wave your money down, whatever, to do the job. And then he goes and disappear. That is where the trouble starts. And it kind of cages you up and say, look, honestly, I don't really know you, so I can't give you this rush job. That's my philosophy. Yeah. You see? Because I don't know, I could do, like you said earlier, you were doing an exclusive work for this person. You want me to slot in you into my workspace, whatever. So I working on other work. You telling me, Ian, I really, really needed to do this press out for well, let's call it something a little more advanced than that. It's a 14-page financials. Ian, I need you to do this thing for me for Monday morning, right? I need to get it at least Sunday evening so I can look at it and send corrections. And you're giving me this on Friday. I said, all right, well, now that's my weekend gone there. So here's the cost. You had to give me money down. Well, they gave me money down. They said, all right, you send a transaction, while electronic or whatever. So I didn't have an issue there. But then when it came now to meeting the deadline, and you spend your whole weekend and you meet the deadline, and then you come back and tell you, we ain't like nothing that you do first, we're not paying you the rest. It's like, what? But I finished the job. I finished it the way you wanted it to, which is on time. Yeah, but this not looking the way we want it to look. I said, you never tell me that in the scope. You tell me, take this, put it into this press ad, go. Like, all right, done, Yeah. So, I mean, the thing is that, eventually they paid me because I have that relationship with them. They were obviously so rushed and so, like, panicking about this job. They didn't really communicate their wants. And I was like, all right, you sure I'm taking this and doing this? Yes. All right, cool. Because it's so rushing you though. But anyway, I'm digressing from your point, but I'm just underscoring that asking for money down may not be always the ideal thing, but there has to be a certain amount of trust involved where this guy you have to get paid. So how do you, I guess the question now is, how do you cover your ass in the case where you can't get the money down? How do you cover your ass? Is that where the contract comes in?
Before I answer that, and yes, contracts will make everything a lot easier. But before I go into that, I want to also paint the picture accurately in that the picture of the entire landscape. The truth is, at least from my experience, it is more, these arrangements work out 9 out of 10 times. But that one time that I do work out, there's always be a pain in the ass. You think?
Always, yeah.
But I'm happy to say that I dealt with people like just recently I did a job for a contact in Jamaica. And it was recording some audio for a client, right? And the voice that they wanted, a Trinidadian voice, so she reached out to me. I brought in a local Trinidadian voice. We did this stuff. Actually, the first run, it was 4 voices, knowing fully well that 3 of them were demo, and 1 was the one that they actually wanted. But they had some other ideas. So I made my arrangements, got 3 of them to just submit something, and we'll see. But then the one that they actually wanted did the full script. I had another contact in New York. They submitted their voice as well, sent that through, got paid real easy, no headache whatsoever. And that arrangement was actually made just over the internet, and send the code, they approved the code, we went through, getting money. Further to that, the client took long to do it. This is something that I did again. That was like probably last year. It was, or year before. It was a while, right? Over that period of time, my computer crashed. I lost some info. Some of it was those voices. So I didn't have all that. Some like the last takes that I was working on, that was still, on a part of the machine that I could have saved and all that. And out of the blue, the contact in Jamaica called to find out if I still had the takes, right?
Oh,
I sent what I had, but none of them were the takes that they use. And they was like, all right, let me do it over and sign up and pay again. You know what I mean? So it have people that go in that distance and honest enough that I could trust them to do it. But you'll encounter some stuff that, is kind of take it sideways, and then you'll lose all your trust and all this kind of scene. But anyway, coming back to the question that you asked there, I think contract is the safest way, right? But that will require retaining a lawyer to draw up some contracts for, and you submit your contracts. Other than that, you have, most of the situations that I work in will be with companies that have supplier contracts, so they'll either send you a contract or have you sign up as a supplier on their system. And after that, it's just a matter, they engage in you, you're sending your invoice or your quote, they approve your quote, and you send your invoice and they get paid because you're registered as a supplier. Now, I don't know if legally you're supposed to do anything beyond that, probably, but to me, that seemed fine. You have an arrangement, you're registered, all that. You could show your documents that you are a registered supplier. You could show where a request comes in. You could show your quote. You could show the approval on your quote. And everything is everything. But when you're dealing with smaller companies or smaller clients that mightn't have that infrastructure, and you're leaning to creating, fresh situations each time, then it might be prudent to have something to sign to make sure that, this in writing says that you will pay me XYZ for ABC. And, at such and such a time in this way, which again, my quotations have on it.
Yeah. Which is, I say, when you do the estimate, you kind of put down, like one of my estimate for doing financials and those kind of long form kind of publication things is that the onus is on you for the accuracy of the numbers. Because there have been stories, I was told way back in the day that the joke was that if the press ad for the car sales ad that you're doing, like you put a Nissan ad out for sale and you say the car costs $25,000 when it should be $125,000. You had a bounce that cost because of the wrong price on the ad. That was the scare they used to give the artists to make sure, the copyright to make sure that they get the ad right now. That you had to pay the balance of the difference I don't know if that was actually true. But when it comes to financials, if a number is wrong in the tables, then that's an inaccuracy, and that can also run the people in problems, because people say, yeah, but your financials not adding up. Your number you're trying to hide, and it might just be a typo. But I always say that if you all don't check the work before I not here to add your numbers, I'm not an accountant. So I just put in it, I style it, and I send it back to you. Your job is to make sure the numbers add up and all these things look in the way it's supposed to look, and so and so. And if there is an error, don't put that on me, because my responsibility is not to double check the 15 accountants you have working for, Winston Young or whatever it is,
And also Jared could relate to this, right? Jared could relate to that whole burden falling back on the copy department to now proofread an annual report. Okay, you might get away with the words, you can spell, so you get. But I telling you straight up, I am not an accountant, which I studied that, and my first job was actually an accountant, which I last a week because of the headaches. I do not like numbers. You can't rely on me to proofread a balance sheet. You can't rely on that.
Exactly.
So I will go from your sheet to this sheet, and I will the exact numbers. Okay, I could do that. But if something not adding up, more than likely I gonna miss that shit.
Yeah.
I didn't pick that life for me. I didn't pick that life.
I can't think of that sheet at all.
And the copy department or the copywriter responsible could end up in real hot water for having something that come out with what will be considered a typo, but that's not a typo. That's accountant slip up.
Now, this is a separate issue. I just want to sidebar it. This is the thing why ad agencies are terrible at doing annual reports. And I will say it, because I have been there, I've seen annual reports being produced inside of it. First of all, I've seen people produce annual reports inside the agency, and I just shake my head and look at them like, you just like the 7 levels of hell by doing it this way. Because there's an easier way, there's always an easier way to do things and a more accurate way of doing it. And this thing where you keep pressing the space bar to line things up, you're spending twice as long before. I said, but why would you do that? And this is why ad agencies are very, very bad. I mean, they're good at creating the design for a report. You can come up with a creative concept, no problem. You give it to somebody who is an expert in doing annual reports. Is it a publication company or a publisher or a freelancer like myself or Natasha Gill or whoever who knows how to do it, who's been trained how to do it. Most of the people inside an ad agency know how to do a press-up. They know how to come up with a pretty looking campaign or whatever. For them to sit down meticulous and try to line up a number with numbers that are negative versus positive and pressing spacebar to try to know, because inevitably they're going to come back and tell you that spacing wrong, fix it. And you back and forth, 2 o'clock in the morning. That is not the workflow. That is not how a workflow is supposed to be. But that's just a sidebar. That's just me being bitchy about ad agencies and annual reports. Because they do very good looking annual reports that the financials could be totally, and this is why you have an annual report, it's for financials. The financials could look completely wrong, it could be anyway. But one of the other things I wanted to talk about, which is not just about advertising, which is right, is about contracts, is that we've seen in recent times, and I don't like to bring it up because it's depressing, but the divers who died in the pipeline, those of you who don't know what we're talking about, you need to go and look up, what is it, Paria disaster? Is it called the Paria disaster? Jerry, what do they call it? Where the divers died in the pipe.
You can call it the Paria disaster.
Can they Google that? They can Google that and they'll get that.
More than likely.
Yeah, Paria disaster.
But the initial story that came out from one of the rescuers was that the bureaucracy involved in trying to get the equipment they needed to go down there and get these guys, in simple terms. Because apparently they were to write a report, submit it to the office, somebody in the office had to vet the report, send it back with changes, and then somebody else have to send it back again. 3 men are dying. And you're talking about a document that needs to be vetted by 5 people before it's been seen by the relevant authority. And that is also a situation that is involved with creative people. Creative people, not their business is not bureaucracy. Don't tell me you have 5 people to approve something. I don't want to hear that. That's not my experience. Is I doing a job for you, you ought to pay me for the job. Don't tell me you have to go through 15 levels of hell to get approval and then come back again. There was a story, one of our friends, I'm not going to name his name. He used to work for the agency. He's a great illustrator, animator guy. He told me once that he had to beg for an insurance company to give him a check for a job he did that they asked him to do for something. Can't remember, but it was a creative job, but it wasn't through the proper channels of the agency or whatever. They did it directly with him. And he said for 6 months he had never been paid, and he kept going and calling and whatever, until he finally had to escalate, and he finally got the ear of the chief accountant of the company. And the chief accountant told him that he don't just write checks just so. He can't just write checks. And so this fellow explained to him, he said, yeah, but I have all the documents, I have the estimate, I have the invoice. He said, no, the boss man have to sign that check. He said, well, is there anything you can do? He said, all right, I will go and I will sit down with the boss man, and when we do any checks, I will get him to sign the check for you. So you come and collect the check tomorrow. When he went to collect the check, and he go to the bank to deposit the check, guess what? What? Check is post-dated to the next year.
Next year.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he just like, that is it. He not doing this freelance and shit again done. Because he couldn't understand. He's like, but why would you do this to me? Why would you do this to me? Why? And to this day, he still doesn't understand why would they do this? And he thinks it's an error, but by that time he was just like, you know what? I'll just wait. And then eventually he went and cashed a check a year later and he got his money. By then it was devalued. It wasn't the amount, it was. But that was just plain spite. It's just plain spite, using bureaucracy to stop you from getting your pay, for stopping to get what is your due,
No, so, what I want to point out in that is, it's not like he didn't have, like I say, documents, right? And there are times that, besides, for me, besides this present one, there are times that I had things in writing, like things approved and all that, all my documents, and people find ways to try and weasel out of it, right? Everything from, and again, I'm saying all this to start questioning, how would the involvement of lawyers and contracts stop somebody who has the mindset of, getting art from people and not paying, right? Somebody with that intention. How could you stop them when this thing's so subjective? Because at the end of the day, somebody could say if they want to, somebody could take your work and say, you know what, we don't want it, we reject it, and we're not paying you. But take your idea and manipulate it just enough that is not your idea, or enough that they could say, yeah, it might be similar to yours, but it's not yours, and use your idea. That is something that could happen. So I'm wondering, because I'm not a lawyer, of course, and I take lawyers' suggestion that we could do more to protect. Do you do to protect something or products that could be, number one, a wide range of things that will require different set of agreements and arrangements between people if you want to be granular? How you do that when things just all over and subjective, because the arrangement between a client and myself, if I write in, let's say I producing a short film for you, okay, I see what you want. I think the execution for this, let's do a short film and cut it up into 4 and release it on social media in 4 parts, 1 a week for a month, right? That arrangement gonna be different from if doing a radio spot, or writing a blog entry or an article. So like, how do I protect myself across all them lines and take into consideration things like radio will have like royalties and things built in if you're using it beyond a certain time and all that, and territories and all this, you know? Is it that I had a right, like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different contracts and use one that might be close enough and still manipulate that one each time I'm going to do things? Like, me thinking about it here without having any kind of knowledge in law and without actually operating in a system like that, I don't even know what that solution going to look like and how I'm going to feel about it too. Because if it's something that's too labor intensive, that would be a deterrent to me, you know? And then when I consider in an agency, I don't know if it's be happening behind a door that I just never see. I doubt it have a door that I never see.
The secret garden of the agency.
You think? Some agencies, this is the agency of record, and that is that. You sign to that, you pay agency retainer, and everything else you work out, and you have different things specific to, you know, what you're getting, and that is that. It gone, you know?
The thing is, recently our agency was in hot water for pitch with a government agency. A government, what you see, okay, so people who are listening who are not part of our country, we have what they call special interest companies. They're like kind of quasi-government agencies, but they're privately run. It's a very interesting situation. I don't know if this is something that happens in other countries, but we have a company, for example, that handles the lottery. It's managed by a government ministry, which I think is, which ministry is it, Jared? It's National Control Board is under which ministry?
National Lottery, that would be Ministry of Finance, I think.
Yeah, I think it's Ministry of Finance. But that ministry's oversight onto a board, which is hired, people hired and the government hires them to run this company to manage the lotteries. So like you have the lotto and the other games that you play during the day, you know, these normal, you know, kind of scratch cards or whatever it is. And they supply the payouts and all that. And you pay money when you buy the ticket, it goes to this company, and then the company pays to the government. That's kind of like how it works. So what happened was they put the pitch out for the marketing, and then somebody inside that National Lotteries Control Board company asked one of the agencies to repitch and adjust the cost, which is completely illegal.
Yes, it is.
in the whole tender process of trying to get business. You don't do that. You just say, well, no, your cost too high. But if people say we want to work with this agency, so you all just drop the price and we'll award you the contract. But the joke is, when I've worked at the agency, the stories that I've heard, which may be inaccurate, it may be people telling me shit. I don't know. I've never verified. I didn't work in finance department. I didn't see the books. You know, that a lot of these companies don't actually have contracts. And they don't actually pay anything. So like I was told, oh, well, when I was told by our family Mark once, oh no, that client, they don't pay. I'm like, excuse me, what do you mean they don't pay? No, they will pay, but eventually. I'm like, they will pay eventually? Is this how we run business? It's like, hopefully at some point in time you might get, I pray that I get paid by the company. What kind of business? I was like, how does anybody? And that actually taught me how to run my own business. That's not how I'm going to run a business. That's not how you run a business.
Well, look, there's this, right? You wouldn't be able to do that on your own as an independent, right?
Exactly.
An agency could take that bounce, not just because of the bank that they're working with, but remember, they could have a client that mightn't pay for creative per se, but sure they're definitely paying for media placement. So you'll make money off your media placement commission. Anyway, much more than you're making from the creative anyway.
That's true. That's true.
So you could afford to say, well, they go pay when they're ready kind of thing, because they already place, a million or 2 point something million in media, and again that 17.5%.
Yeah. And now, which is the conversation I have with Dwayne, and I actually want to bring Dwayne in for an episode. And Quincy, you're always invited. You're always welcome to jump in.
Sure, man.
We talk about Dwayne's bugbear is, and we've discussed it before with Tony, and we've discussed it with other people, that the landscape has changed where these big media buyouts don't happen anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So the agency paying 50 cents for a click on a Google ad is not the same as getting $2 million to run ads for the month.
Mm-hmm.
You see, there is a great discrepancy between, and actually one of the things Dwayne was saying is that Loop TT has just launched their own agency.
Mm.
They actually created their own agency, and using their website, using the Digicel platform, using all of these other things to basically sell media.
Mm-hmm.
And they've partnered with Trinidad Express and I think the Guardian, where they would buy media space in the Guardian as a package deal, and then the ads would then go onto the Guardian website and then into the Guardian paper itself. So the new people are now taking the money now from the established agencies and getting clients to come directly to them. You see? Yep. So it's a big old mess. It's a big old mess.
And that is completely the agency's fault. And I was saying it since 19, how long, that you had to forget it's almost like Trinidad and relying on oil. It's almost like that. Yes, selling media was it, right? Was. But with the democratization of media, it means not just the average Joe have access to media space now that they could, sell and become influencers and so on as we see it, but you have room for exactly what's going on there, where a company could decide, we go and do our thing in-house. This is not the first company in Trinidad that doing in-house stuff. Courts doing that for years, you know? And we could decide to do that now because the resources are available to us to do it. And now we could go straight to our media house and say, here, let us partner our media spaces and do this that everybody could eat. Both media houses and agencies should have never been against digital. And by doing that, we leave a huge gap there for all kind of madness to start taking place. So what we're doing is looking at, we just watching the gap that was created, And that gap started to create, I could tell you safely, from about 2003 to now. That is the gap that we're looking at, and all the madness are going on inside of that gap. But they have the before that and they have the after that, right? The before as in what we know.
The BD and the AD.
What we know about life before digital, what we know, all the basic concepts of communication and engagement and all them things, right? We know that. Then the future, what we have to work with, right? The resources we have at our fingertips and how we could imagine a new space using these things with what we know from before, right? That is what we need to do at some point. But each time that, or I should say the only way to do it is to draw the line and say, from here forward, we're going to think about this differently. If you try to phase it off or ride it until the wheels fall off, you know what? The wheels will fall off. But when the wheels fall off, the train will crash. So before it fall off, just stop the train, change the wheels, and rock on.
So I was asked, and I've forgotten, and this is probably one good thing that we could end on. John, I don't know if you have anything else to say about the idea of contracts and what we just talked about.
I'm just saying. I just think that as Quincy had rightly pointed out, it's all a common bond of trust needs to be developed. If the trust element is not there, then it simply does not make any sense, and it's extremely difficult to get back to that level of trust, because it's a question of it's a question of respect as well. I mean, it's a question of your time. It's a question of your talent, and it's a question of the energy that you put into it. I mean, and it is. It's a. I mean, the creative. What we do as creatives, it is not only demanding mentally, but it's also demanding emotionally as well as physically, because you're giving a part of yourself, and that you're supposed to be adequately compensated for that, in direct proportion to your talent and your worth. So that when you tell people, this is how much I'm worth, and they tell you, no, that is way too much, we can't afford you. Well, then you can't afford me, and I can understand that. But don't come around and tell and say, well, yes, we could agree to that. And next thing you know, you do a complete 180 and you tell me, well, sorry, yeah, but thing can't work out. There's no need to screw people over like that. And not right.
Yeah. Let me talk something onto that as I bring it up, and I just had a kind of flashback, almost PTSD style, because it speaks to trust, and it also speaks to integrity and the creative's integrity towards the work, right? And this current thing that are going through here, right? That first month of work was actually when we discovered from all the information, well, no written briefs really. Everything was word of mouth and talking and thing. And that type of client, and that is fine. They could work with it because then they take notes and walk away. And it was a team too, so it's easier that way, more people retaining and we deciphering what is needed. One of the things that we realized early in the game that was needed is an actual strategy, and like, you had to start to see like target market and all kind of thing, right? I didn't even realize how deep it was before we started doing the actual work. But this client had nothing, basically nothing that a brand, no brand tone of voice, no brand personality, nothing like that, right? So in the beginning, we thinking that was there. Jump in, realizing, hey, this is looking kind of shaky. One of the first things that I did, and this wasn't included in my cost, I just say, in as much as we're doing it, you know what? I will throw in this essentially for free, right? I do a behavior change springboard at the start. And if you know anything about this game, a behavior change springboard is anywhere between 18 grand and 25 grand to do, And there's a workshop, there's like a 2-day workshop, right? And even inside of that, after doing that and coming up with something and realizing, hey, this still needs some beef, I had to do another springboard, or not had to do, but I suggested that we do another springboard, which was the one that actually created a brand Bible for the brand. Right, to say this is who you are, your brand archetype, and this is your brand personality, and this is the tone of voice, and this is the target, this is who you want to talk to, this is what you want to make them think, and all that, which was our brand engagement springboard. That was about 7 days long, because we start from nothing, And when I say 7 days, it was COVID, so we had the time. Everybody locked down, we do it online. But number one, when you're doing it with people like in the agency, like especially the last agency that I was in, one of the directors there, that ace and that type of thing. So regular springboards and that kind of scene, and the staff was accustomed to doing springboards. So when they bring in a couple of the clients and they sit down with the creative team that, already trained to do that, you could get quick results. But when you're doing it with people that learning springboards at the time, at the same time when you're trying to come up with a solution, it's a little bit more because you had to stop to explain what you're doing every step and that kind of thing. So it's hard work, right? And the client was there for it. So it's like you're seeing the hard work going on and you're seeing how much time it's taking, but you're also seeing the results of it. And they're expressing that the results good too, and they didn't think about it this way, and yes, this making sense and all that. And then, after all that, I mean, I saying that to say there's things that I don't think you could interpret or envision happening from before. So it's things that as it come up, you just deal with it because that's how you're going to get your job done. That's not even going to be reflected in the cost. Yet it's a problem to get the base cost that you ask for. That is real pressure. I mean, it shouldn't be so. You're supposed to have the confidence to be able to do those things, knowing at least, I make that sacrifice on the basis that I still getting paid for, what I code for. So fine, I'm trained that. But then when it comes your turn to not even compromise, just do what you're supposed to do as I seen. Why that to be so?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be.
When you're dealing with people, and people who brought up a certain way and worked a certain way and have been, have systems built a certain way, it's just habit in the end of the day. One of the things we wanted to finish off with was something that our friend Maurice Burke, again, said, Maurice, you want to come on the podcast? Oh, well, I don't know, I don't have time. I'll probably bring Maurice onto the podcast. But for now, we just want to comment on this latest issue. You talked about influencer marketing just briefly on one of the things that digital has been moving into, and the agencies have not been following, right, into this influencer marketing thing. One of the things is this whole breeze. Now, I haven't been following it too closely. Jared, do you know what I'm talking about? The new breeze launch?
Yeah, I think I have a quite frankly, I have a kind of sketchy sort of understanding as to what happened. They had the launch of this particular type of breeze detergent at a really swanky place. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I'm subject to correction now, that it was hosted by a bunch of influencers, and they figured that it was just an exercise in tone deafness, as far as I was concerned, because the reality of the situation is breeze is something for the regular folk.
Yeah.
The
we talked
class.
about it a little bit last week, actually. I don't remember. But one of the things is that influencer marketing, we had a discussion about Omidas. That's the guy's name. The fellow who does the little TikTok videos. That's how I pronounce his name, Omidas.
Don't know his name.
Yeah, neither do I. But it just goes to show you how old we really are.
So,
but Jared and I were talking about voices on the radio. So they're getting these influencer guys to voice ads on the radio now, right? So one of my bugbears continues to be Supercar Milk and the stupid ad in the grocery, where they have the fellow who's the teacher who started doing A for B for whatever, and now suddenly he's this big radio personality and TV personality. No problem. I have no issue with that. My issue is that just because you're an influencer doesn't necessarily mean that you're, a voiceover person or actor or whatever. And the thing is one of the things I think somebody posted in the social media group, the Caribbean social media group, was that, this guy did this 5-minute video of this is his life with Blue Waters and sponsored by Blue Waters, the water drink. And one of the things I noticed is that he was literally going through the motions now. It's like, oh, well, I had to do some Blue Waters sponsorship thing. So I just go in and do something, And it dawned on me, a lot of these influencers, and this is from the Breeze thing as well, because Karen Rose was commenting that these influencers, they don't know how to use influencers. And even though he's kind of right, but also kind of wrong, is that influencers, to me, what I understand an influencer to be, is somebody who uses the product and don't say anything about it, or uses the product and then says, so like, okay, best example, Kim Kardashian. I'm using this whatever makeup now, and this is what I do for my rings around my eyes. And that is it. That's all she needs to do. People will run off and buy the product, right? That's what the people want. She's not going to build an ad on Instagram and talk about how she's going to use this product or create some kind of creative kind of story around the product. She's not doing that. She's just using the product. Just using the product. And a lot of the, like I follow a car guy, Scotty Kilmer on YouTube. He's a Texan, hardcore, don't tread on me white guy. You know, and he says, look, I have these products that I use in my car, and it, you know, things like self-inflating tires and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, yeah, cool. I would buy this because it's endorsed by this guy. That is influencer marketing. He's not creating an ad over some kind of nitrogen-filled canister that somebody's selling. He's like, oh, look how long I can drive on this. Oh no, I got a flat. Here, I could use this. That is not influencer marketing. That is trying to create an ad using an influencer marketer. And there is a difference between the two. And Quincy, you have said this before with Fallon. It's a Fallon over trying to fall with the product. Now, you see thing like creating a meme and trying to viral it. You see thing trying to get this guy, bringing these people to the Bricks Hotel to enjoy free food so they can post it on their Instagram. To me, that is not influencer marketing in the sense that, okay, so when is it that I'm going to see some of these guys using this product? Are you going to send these guys this product so they could use it? Hey, look, exactly. I washed 200 pieces of clothes here. The guy who made the answer to Kieran Rose on TikTok said, oh, he's used Breeze. Okay, fucking show me the Breeze. Where the Breeze? You don't even have the product.
You see,
you know?
The funny thing about it for me is a lot of people who support the way that influencers being used right now in Trinidad is the right way and all that, saying, you know, you had to come out of the old thinking and you know, come into this new wave, right? But the truth is, the way that we using influencers right now is actually the old wave. And that old wave is mass market. The mass market conversation where you go to the newspaper printing X amount of million runs and all this, and you put your message in front of all these eyes. That is how we've been doing things. So if you have an influencer that has X amount of thousand of followers, right? They have 1 million followers or whatever. And you give this person a product to showcase in front of 1 million followers, regardless of what their expertise is and all this. But they have the eyes and they have the views. What they're really doing is a mass market approach to advertising in a space that allows you to do something much more powerful. The sole benefit of social media and digital in general is that it allows you, or the sole advantage is that it allows you to speak to a very targeted market. So you don't have to throw the wide net out there again and you're looking to catch carrot, but you pull up a couple eel and some skater fish and a stingray and thing too that you had to throw back. Things that they didn't really want. Right? Now you could talk directly to your carrot. Right? Here fishy jump in the boat. Right?
I love it. I love the visual.
So when you engage an influencer for their following, you already start bad. You already start long time-ish, right? Like you're saying, Ian, it needs to be something that, and I was trying to explain to somebody, if you have a brand ambassador, then you hire that person for a period of time. It might be 2 years or whatever. And that person has to conform to the elements of the brand. You will have a contract. It will say you only using this product. You need to have X amount of appearances in our things that we planning. You'll be in our communication as the face and all them kind of things, and we lock it onto that. And that is a brand ambassador contract, basically. Influencer is different. You create a channel based on people that are interested in what you have to say and what you're doing and on your expertise, whether you're teaching them, whether you're doing interesting things that people just want to see and whatever. And if a brand is aligned to what you're doing, or it fits into how you create your content or whatever, then like it was just suggesting, you seamlessly include that. That is when the brand conforming to you. So they're not going to tell you what to say. They're going to tell you how to use the thing. None of that. You just get the thing and you continue doing it. This is where Nike right through. So Nike realize that's what I do. Yeah. And I go about the place. They just equip with Nike. And I don't have to say, this is the MX 92. You know, people will see it and they'll be like in the content, they'll be like in the comments, I mean, yo, I like that Nike, where's that? And then they'll Google it and then they'll see that 92, then you buy it, right? Yeah. Now, saying all that to say this, my problem with the bricks thing, I agree that just by virtue of optics, it didn't strike as something that is affordable and for, you know, a lower market and thing. But understanding of the product is, I don't think the product necessarily is that though. I don't think it's necessarily like a low class, a low budget product. I think it's just a more efficient, more effective product. And I think it's something that is really innovative. I think it's a good product, by the way. It is a very innovative product because of what it brings to the table and what it affords. I think where the mark was, again, that one-off launch thing, that thought, that idea is a long-time idea. I don't think you need that to launch a brand anymore in this context where digital space is so readily available. You could do something as simple as probably get a mobile washing unit and go around to dirty jobs and just demonstrate the product. And you know what? They could have used one of them or a few of them influencers to host it as well. Yeah, exactly. No problem.
Which is what Jared and I talked about. Yeah.
But how cool it would be if this, you get a video of, you know, this, I mean, you do it, it didn't cost you that much, but you could make it look real sick. You have a washing machine and some kind of like on the back of a van or something like that. And you just pull up by a garage and you capturing people's astonishment at this thing pulling up just so, and the hesitance when somebody say, oh, give me the dirtiest overall. You know? And wash it and dry it right there and show the power, you know, this thing come out real clean and that kind of scene. And they're like, "Aye, that's cool," you know what I mean? And here, whole a week supply of detergent. And you jump off with that.
The thing is that I have seen Latin American ads for soap powder. And that's essentially what they do. The ad is basically them going around and knocking on people's doors and asking them if they could just try this and they'll come back tomorrow. And then the ad is so they say, hey, and then we come back the next day and you say, look how bright it looks. I mean, it could be totally made up. Like, you know, they staged it. But the idea is just the same thing. And Jared, correct me if I'm wrong. But back in the 80s, not Breeze, there was another soap brand that was doing that, where they were, I think Spranglang was involved in it, where they were going around doing exactly that, you know. They were
it's very familiar.
Where they would say how white, it was Breeze.
I think it's
the same Breeze,
It was the same Breeze. Where they were basically telling them, you know, wash this shirt right now. We're going to show you how bright it is, how bright it's come out, right? So, I mean, there's nothing saying they can't be creative, huh? Because what was the one with the puppet, Jared? There was one with the puppet. No?
Sudsil
now is the competitor.
Super Sudsil.
Right, so Sudsil came out and said, well, we can't do what Breeze doing. We're going to do something different. No problem. That was just as impactful and great and whatever. But Sudsil is gone now. Breeze is back. But I mean, whatever. The point is that I agree with you, Quincy. The launch at Bricks was nothing more than the old school way of saying, there we go and wine and dine the people and launch this product. So instead of wine and dining the agency and wine and dining the media people and the whoever, we're going to do the influencers.
Yeah.
And okay.
Who rightfully are media people in this context.
Correct. No problem. Understood. Correct. But I'm waiting on the follow-up and I haven't seen the follow-up. And the follow-up should be that. The follow-up should be going out there now. And like I said, the guy who answered Kieran Rose, I'm waiting for him to show me using the Breeze. Because all I waited for, all of them show that they went to the show, the launch and eating food or whatever and looking swanky or whatever. They're not selling the breeze. That's selling your channel. Okay, great. If that's selling your channel, no problem. That's why I always tell Quincy, I don't know if you've seen it, and Jared, I encourage you to look at it. Emily in Paris is like the updated version of what advertising agencies need to be now.
Yeah, I think I saw it. Yeah.
Emily in Paris is what she is doing is essentially what all ad agencies need to be doing now.
Yeah.
It's kind of, you live in it. You have to live it now. You have to live it. And I can't do that. I too old for that shit. I can't. That's essentially what it is, you know.
No, it have a number of ways to do it. It have a number of ways to do it. And you could borrow from, I keep saying, old practices and evolve them into now. But before I say this, I want to go back a little bit to the event, because there is an argument that, you know, well, we get visibility, so top of mind and blah, 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 right? But here's the problem. And you waste an opportunity if you have the top of mind of there's a new product on the market and it is a breeze product and it's different, right? You waste your opportunity with that engagement there if at the end of that, somebody going to the grocery still going to make an impulse purchase, right? When they launch something like that and they say this is a new product, what you're talking about is a consumer that go into the grocery, I just usually buy, I don't know, brand X that fit into my budget, and this is what has given me the results that I am accustomed to as buy brand X every month, every 2 months, however much times I buy soap for the year. And there's this new breeze product. So on the shelf now, I'm wondering if it actually as good as it is. It's a new product. I never see it work before. So I'm wondering if this worth my money right now, if I should not buy my usual thing and give this a try or whatever, you know, all the things that people just go through when they're making an impulse purchase. Versus if I actually see it work and I'm actually interested, even if it's to be interested to see if the results as real for me as it is on this video, I'm going to make a planned purchase. Cut it anyhow you want. People coming into a grocery to make a planned purchase more liable to purchase than people coming to make an impulse purchase. They're still gambling 50-50. So if you do it better, and this is on the company side, this is not talking about technology or nothing, because at the end of the day, everybody doing this for sales, right? Company-wise. If I want to make an investment in sales, in actual sales, then I need to be concerned with how I engage in the consumer and what the consumer mindset is after they engage with my content. So if after they engage with the content is still impulse purchase, I might buy it. You know, hey, look the breeze. I wonder why. You know, then you're losing the opportunity for a consumer that's saying instead, hey, look the breeze, boy. I wonder if it's working for me the same way. I'm closer to buying that because I see it perform already. And I might leave home to see if that breeze, I'm going to get this breeze, I try to see, I might make that decision before I reach in the grocery. So you're locking me down there. And these are the opportunities, or these are the ways that we have to look at the resources that we have available today. And I'm saying this because I don't think it's about influencers. And like if you approach it from that way, to discredit influencers, which there is an argument for, but I prefer not to look at it that way. Do what you're doing, because I think we need content. We need to be making content, but stick to what you're doing, right? And good at it. And let me find different ways to integrate the products, and everybody go live.
That's right. Yeah, that's true.
They're doing a great job of building following. A great job. I find the content that a lot of them putting out interesting. You know, it's fun. It's things that I go laugh at and think too. But in terms of translating it into something that could really help brands, I think we need to be looking at it real different and need to, you know, carve out better spaces for influencers to be involved in things.
Well, what I want to mention is one of the influencers, quote unquote, who's out of that whole breeze controversy is the oh my gosh girl. What's her name?
Rochelle
with the White Oak. I mean, it was just natural. And White Oak just stepped in and said, okay, cool, which is exactly what you were saying before, which is it comes naturally that I will use White Oak because I was in lockdown. I didn't have coconut milk powder. I'll try coconut, Brilliant, perfect, exactly what we need for the brand to sell the brand. And it was like those two things just came together. And if somebody, you see, now in the old days, somebody in the agency would have ball. Nah, she can't be doing that. She can't be doing that like Passion Fruit would say, why is this girl talking about our brand this way? Our brand is not to be used this way. We can't use it this way. Please stop this woman. Take the label off. Set up right. That is the old way of thinking. But thank God we have new people somewhere and around the place who said, you know what? Let us give this woman money to continue, or give her a blessing, or like they sent her a whole package, and she opened up the package in the studio and said, "Look at this! I get T-shirts, I get this, I get that." That is exactly what that is the success story right there. But then again, I always say it's not hard to sell alcohol in this country.
Yeah.
Selling alcohol in this country is like shooting fish in a barrel. It's not hard.
I could use something that I did over the COVID space as well with courts actually. And right before COVID, well, before the actual lockdown, I should say, because COVID was already running the place. I just usually have limes home by me, couple friends, school friends and things will come and check me and, we bubble something. And I personally, I take shortcuts. I love a shortcut. I love a gadget. Bad, right? So like I got Instant Pot, I went mad. I tried to cook all kind of things. Like right now I could make a pilau in an Instant Pot, And I thought it was cool to do a little series of cooking using strictly gadgets, Well, not strictly, sorry. Cooking incorporating gadgets and using gadgets for different things. Probably not necessarily what you think about first when you think about a gadget. So with the limes that I just have, we have conversations about a lot of things. Ketchup being a main one. Like I dislike ketchup greatly. And all of my other friends love ketchup and find it win, right? So the first piece of content that I did was actually a conversation about why, like I say, anything that is used ketchup for, it have something better to do it, right? And I created 3 or 4 hot dogs using things that didn't involve ketchup as a topping at all, right? So like I make a Philly cheese dog. I make another one with like baked beans and tortilla chips, some wild things, right? Some nice stuff. And to do it, to prepare the hot dogs, I used a smokeless grill, which was designed to work in apartments like mine that don't have much ventilation and all that. And that's all it was. It was me using that, talking to my brethren about, why we shouldn't use ketchup. Somebody professing, I hear what you're saying, but I'm still going to use my ketchup and all that kicks and thing. Kicks in the Kitchen was the name of it. But it highlighted the grills. And it launched on a Friday. I was real particular with my content actually working and actually doing what it say. And I said, for more on the smokeless grill, click here and go to the court's website and they can buy it, right? So on the Friday, check to make sure that they had the grills. Check to make sure. Contacting court, say, grills there. On the Sunday morning, again, as be real paranoid, I just went and clicked the link. I see item not found. I say, gosh, this thing messing up. Call her. Yeah. And the contact say, well, it had Girls Friday. It had no girls today. So that means it worked. Right? And we had to actually stop the content because people are ordering stuff online and they weren't able to get it because then the COVID restrictions kick in and they couldn't be in the warehouse and all that. So it was causing a problem, people purchasing it and not getting the delivery promise at all. So we had to stop doing it, and I just never approached them to start it back. But I saying that to say, people know me for cooking things. I actually like to cook with gadgets. So that kind of went hand in hand, that was not stretch at all. I didn't have to make up nothing. I didn't have to do anything other than what I'm doing, other than to create a format that I didn't use before so it could be ownable. And yeah, that is how it could work. And I have never attempted to create a large following. The people that follow me on any of my platforms, people are just interested in what I had to say, and that's what
they're genuinely interested in in your content. So if
they're also interested in cooking and cooking in the way that I just cook, and that they're experimenting. Like I do a Callaloo, one of the episodes, I contest swizzle versus blended, right? Which is a big debate. And I use a immersion blender to create a Callaloo that look like it's swizzle.
Right.
People that follow me like them kind of things and will try it because they like shortcuts, but they also like good food and authentic things.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Exactly. Wow, that's a great story, Quincy. I love that. I'm going to check out that blend Callaloo versus swizzle. I don't understand that debate, I really don't understand that debate, but
well, I disprove it in that video.
Good. I'm glad. All right, guys, this has been great. This has been awesome. We went on for very long. I don't think this is the longest episode, but we talked some good stuff.
We talk about a lot of things, though. Yeah.
I think those of you listening, probably you all took a break and came back. We're glad for that. We're glad that you returned and listened to the end of this. We appreciate everybody who listens to us, and even though we are not influencers by any stretch of the imagination, we do like to try to get people to have a little more understanding about the nature of the world around them when it comes to this kind of business. And like I said, Jared and I started this because we wanted to put out there not just our experiences, but what people can expect from the industry that they're probably going to get themselves involved in at some point. So whether you're in school and you're trying to think about, like me, when I was like, I want to go work in advertising. I want to be in advertising. And then when I was in advertising, I want to go and kill myself. So, you tell you, look, just we're not telling you no, but we're informing you. And it's always important to be informed. Be informed. That's
to be warned. To be warned.
Yes, to be warned. But navigate. We're giving you. We are the navigators from before, and we've gone through the shark infested waters, and we're telling you how best to navigate it. And we hope that you all have come away from this one, at least this episode, with some sort of knowledge and some sort of feeling that I'm not alone. First of all, you're not alone. We've all been through this crap. And two, there are ways of fighting, not fighting back, but are ways of getting out of a situation you found yourself in. So if you found yourself in a situation if you found yourself in a situation where you're not getting paid for something, there are ways of getting your money. You don't just go and say, okay, well, there's a loss, I'm walking away from that. Nah, you gotta fight a little bit. If you really want, and it's important for the rest of the industry. And it's one of the important things is, if we all don't fight for these things, people are just going to continue walking over, and it's just going to get worse. People are just going to accept the shit. Yeah. Anyway, Jared, what are we defining today?
What is a contract?
What is a contract?
What is a contract? A contract is a document in which certain particulars are outlined, and it is hoped that those involved in this contract will abide by the certain rules of said contract, that certain people will be adequately recompensed for the job, and so on and so forth. And of course, that's not important right now.
That's not important right now. Thank you very much. Thank you, Quincy. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, Jared.
Yeah.
Jared, you and I have to meet sometime.
I know.
And actually, that we want Quincy involved in that as well. So we will organize something for next week. Yeah?
Cool, man.
Cool. All right, guys. Have a great week.
Same
Bye.
to you. Later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.